Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. I'm going a little bit early today because, um, it was convenient for my co-host, and I know I kind of accidentally sent the message to him in or like last second, but yeah, I wanted to go an hour early so that he could have a chance to come on. My normal co-host couldn't make it on because of Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the women out there who are moms. uh, of their fur babies, the pets, women who are actual moms with biological children. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And to all the biological females out there who are mothers. So, yeah, happy Mother's Day to you. If you don't fit into any of those, well, you're not a mother. Anyway, with that, we have another weekly recap. Another four topics. They're going to be good ones. Disney, basically, with an exception of a Warner Brother one here. So let's turn off this, and there it is. Our first topic is Kevin Feige. If I can get back to the thing here and get the banner up. So yeah, did Kevin Feige try to sabotage Deadpool and Wolverine? That is the question, folks. That is indeed the question, because he warned Hugh Jackman, don't come back for Deadpool 2 or Deadpool and Wolverine. So it does make one wonder. So I am going to get into the article here, and I will jump back because I am going to be waiting for my co-host if he does choose to hop in. Hopefully he sees it in time to at least discuss a couple of the topics. So yeah, Kevin Feige warned Hugh Jackman to not come back in a move born out of genuine stupidity or a broken clock moment of genuine respect for the well-lauded collusion of the hero's story. Marvel Studios boss and has admitted that he initially advised Hugh Jackman to avoid returning to the role of the titular mutant berserker in Deadpool and Wolverine out of fear that the outing would completely invalidate the character's ending in Logan. Well, we all know that this is not the same one that died in Logan. This is a different one in which is from a different universe. They all but confirmed that, or they all already confirmed that in the trailers. So, yeah. And hold on to your butts. I have another one coming in too. So, give me 1 second, folks. I need to go back to Twitter for a moment, or X, as they call it, and give another a link. Uh, I really got to get better checking my messages, folks, because otherwise, well, you miss important messages hours before they are hours later. Jeez, I am terrible with messages. I am so sorry. So, Rick Aragorn should be coming in as well. And and okay. Master Swag King has the thingy. link, and so does he. There we go. Now, getting back to it, let's check. Right. Marvel Studios has admitted that he initially advised him to, the baseball-clad head of MCU, or baseball hat-clad, I'm guessing you meant, who did this one, Spencer? Boy, you gotta work on your editing, buddy. As a dear friend of you, work on your editing. Or hire me to do your editing. Fuck, I'll do it for free. Head of the MCU recalled his hesitation towards Wolverine's return during a recent interview with Empire Magazine in promotion of the multiverses hopping franchise's entry upcoming cinematic release, providing insight into the previous conversations he had with the mutant Australian actor. Feige told the publication, "I said, let me give you a piece of advice, Hugh, don't come back." Well, that's kind of a jackass thing to say. You had the greatest ending in history with Logan. That's not something we should undo. You're not undoing it if it's a different version of him. You're not undoing that one. So that doesn't exactly work. You just don't want, or honestly, I just don't think he wants him because they're trying to go for somebody else as Wolverine. Anyway, hello to Neozoic. Howdy Orange and a good folks. Small correction. Disney bought Star Wars in 2012, not 2014. Is the year where Disney decannoned the EU. My mistake. Yeah. That's all right. I'm guessing that was from a comment that's no longer showing up on my thingy. Moving on. Interestingly, the issue of Jackman popping his claws yet again was not the only roadblock the film faced receiving the green light from Feige. Addressing the studio boss, Deadpool and Wolverine almost didn't happen because he simply had no idea how to properly bring the Merc with a mouth into the Marvel MC universe or Marvel Cinematic Universe. The truth is, I wasn't even sure how we would incorporate Deadpool yet, he revealed to Empire. I was very much thinking about how to bring mutants and the X-Men into the MCU, and I thought it needed to be more than just playing the hits. Dude, you introduced the incursion arc. Did you not think that you couldn't bring them in from different universes as those Earths died? But hey, what do I know? I'm just an asshole racist bigot, right? But the truth is, Ryan is an idea machine, so he may have pitched that to me, but he also pitched 25 other thoughts and ideas. When it comes to Ryan Reynolds, take all of his ideas and run with them. Put him in the background for actual consideration, because the dude is a freaking, as you said, an idea machine. Let's check again. Continuing on. Howdy do to everybody in the chat, by the way. I do see that we have more people here numbered in the chat. It was a takeaway of a large-scale movie in a very small way. Or, speaking of the publication himself, Reynolds explained that his original pitch was akin to the Rashomon story about Wolverine and Deadpool, and something that they got into together, but told from three completely different perspectives. It was a way to make a large-scale movie in a very small way. To this end, Reynolds himself explained the publication that when faced with this rejection, I went back to the drawing board and I wrote up about 18 different treatments. Holy shit, man. That is hilarious. Some of them, almost like a Sundance film, a budget of under 10 million, you sort of using the IP in a way that previously hadn't used, and I pitch bigger movies and I pitch things in between, said the Deadpool actor. Oh my god, man. So yeah, that's Dogpool. Okay, interesting. However, as those of us living in the future now know, not only did Jackman agree to reprise arguably his most popular cinematic role ever, but Reynolds also eventually able to deliver a version of the film script that Feige couldn't get behind, or could get behind. As a result, Deadpool and Wolverine was eventually given the go-ahead. And following a few years of work, the filming of extensive amount of cameos, the film is finally ready to hit theaters on July 26th, and it might be the actual genuine last hurrah of the MCU, as if the leaks and first looks of Captain America Brave New World are anything to go by, the franchise future is looking more and more bleak than ever before. I will not discuss those leaks, folks, because I am not a person that will discuss leaks. By the way, also, if you are a person who discusses leaks and stuff, be careful. Marvel will probably sue you now. They are putting out they are going open season on people who do leaks. So, yeah, Deadpool, Wolverine, and him saying it's like we don't know, or we don't want it to undo the awesomeness of Wolverine's sacrifice. So here, let me get that light on. I just noticed that my lighting wasn't exactly kosher. So yeah, I'm sorry, but if you ask me, I think that Kevin Feige didn't want Hugh Jackman to come back, not because it would undo anything that he did, but basically because well, yeah, I think he's trying to get somebody else to be Wolverine, and he doesn't want Hugh Jackman anymore because that's the old school stuff. And also, Disney doesn't like anything that us fans, the actual fans, do like. So, yeah, they want to ruin everything. Speculative question. Did you think the reason that Feige is trying to sabotage Deadpool 3 is because he didn't want Deadpool 3 to make his other Marvel project look bad in comparison? To be quite honest, Neozoic, I agree with Spencer in the article. This is going to be the MCU's last actual good film. Nothing they make going forward is going to have any interest. I mean, except for the stands, who will basically shit, piss, and eat anything that Hollywood shoves down their throat. That's just my opinion on this matter. Honestly, Feige he's part of the corporate machine. That's everything wrong with what Marvel is, or the MCU currently is. I mean, they should have people like me who is actually willing to follow the rules of the MCU handling their frickin' MCU lore. When it comes to things like the What If, Marvel, What If, their first hoorah with What If on Disney Plus completely destroys the cardinal rule of the MCU, of the Marvel multiverse, actually. Marvel's multiverse cardinal rule. Infinity Stones cannot exist outside of their home universes. If they go outside of their home universes, they go inert. Something that a lot of people were bitching about on the Loki show. Many of the bigger channels, mind you, were like, you made the Infinity Stones paperweights. That's what happens when they're removed from their original universes. That actually works. That's the actual rules. I'm sorry if you're not aware of those rules. If you look at the amalgam comics between Marvel and DC, Darkseid got his hands on all 6 Infinity Stones and the goddamn gauntlet. Yet he couldn't use them because he was outside of their universe. That is why Infinity Stones exist in all the different universes. Because if they leave their universes, they can't work. It kind of only makes sense. Speaking of X-Men, what are your thoughts on X-Men 97 being a rated flop, worse than Miss Marvel? I have no opinion on X-Men 97 because I will not watch X-Men 97. Sorry, Neozoic, but that one I won't touch. To me, that show is cancer with AIDS mixed in and brain rot sprinkled all over it. I will not touch anything that they try doing going forward because they're going to modernize it. something that's supposed to be taking place in 1997. Almost 30 years ago, 27 years ago to be precise. How the fuck are you going to modernize shit like he's non-binary? I'm sorry, that is a mental delusion, folks. There is no such thing as non-binaryism in humans because guess what? Humans are either male or female. Yes, you have those metamorphs like Morph, and you also have goddamn blue skin Mystique. And hey, Mama Skooma, good to see you. And whatnot. But going back to this, you have those who can change into stuff, and now it seems that they have God modded Mystique, making it so she can actually grow a dick, grow a reproductive testes and DNA, and make a baby by inseminating a woman with her penis. So basically, Marvel has gone full Futanari in the comics. Yeah, chick dicks. Way to go, Marvel. You went porn. But yeah, I'm sorry. When it comes to X-Men 97, I have no opinion on it because honestly, I haven't paid attention to it. I won't pay attention to it. I won't watch it. Because it's cancer, AIDS, and a little bit of brain rot all rolled into one shit turd that was shot out of some SJW's ass at Marvel. That's all it was. And I have no opinion on it. So, nope, not going to touch it. Moving on to our next topic. Disney to cut back on their major series. So, yeah. Disney CEO Bob Iger says Marvel Studios shrinking output to about 2 series a year and a maximum of 3, count them, 3 films. You guys just don't get it. You seriously don't get it, do you? If you would have made these films, all of this stuff, good, you would be swimming in cash. Instead, you're licking the dirt ground, the dirt pavement, because you didn't make anything good. That's your real problem. Looks like I got a message here. And but yeah, let's get into this. Or let's get into this article here, folks. This is in a following up on its previous assurances that the House of Mouse recognizes their need to be better at curating their various franchises. Disney CEO Bob Iger has revealed going forward, MCU will be receiving a reduced number of entries per year. Missing the point completely. Iger spoke to Marvel Studios' forward-facing plans while speaking to investors amidst Q2 2024 earnings call as held on May 7th. Asked by Morgan Stanley analyst Ben Swinburne. Swinburne? Something burn? I'm willing to bet his butt burns. Anyway, if he could elaborate as to how he felt regarding the sort of production pipeline on Marvel side, specifically when you think that this IP is being reinvigorated to the extent you'd like it to be. Honestly, if they really want to make money, make your movies in this format, the what if animation style format. You do that, you will cut back on a lot of shit. Yeah. And whether you think the IP is being renovated or reinvigorated to the extent you'd like it to be, Iger responded, "We've been working hard to the studio to reduce output and focus more on quality." No, you haven't. You're still pushing the woke agenda. And As long as you are pushing that, you are not focused on quality. The woke agenda is a fad that crops up, political correctness that crops up every few years, runs a little bit of a gamut, dies back down. We get another good stretch of peace and also good prosperity, and then it crops its ugly head back up, kind of like Satan every thousands of years. Except that, well, Disney Satan is a little bit more rowdy, and well, or political correctness is a little bit more rowdy. So yeah, political correctness is Satan. So yeah, we've been working hard to, yeah, that's particularly true with Marvel. Uh-huh. To this end, Iger then revealed, I know you've mentioned television shows, some of what is coming up as a vestige of basically a desire in the past to increase volume. We're slowly going to decrease volume and go to probably about 2 TV series a year instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output to maybe 4 a year to 2 to the maximum 3. Folks, again, doesn't matter how much they do. It doesn't matter how much or how many they make. If you make shit, you're going to get shit for profit. If you are pushing delusional behavior, if you are pushing an agenda, nobody's going to want to watch it. People are waking up. Reality is what needs to be taken out of these films. Go back to focusing on entertaining people, not putting Black Lives Matter propaganda, transgenderism propaganda, and all that shit. Stop putting that shit in movies, in theaters. If you have a transgender character, great. Don't remind the audience every 3 minutes that they're transgender. Don't make them the most flamboyant thing you've ever seen. Not all transgender people are like that. Believe it or not, I actually know a transgender person I actually respect, because that person happens to agree with a lot of the stuff about gender dysphoria and whatnot. However, they came to regret their decision of transitioning. And unfortunately, they can't go back to what they used to be because they butchered their body too much. Yeah. Then again, Disney hates everything or makes stuff good and enjoyable. That's why I keep saying that Deadpool 3 is the biggest scam, folks. You're going to give it money. You're going to give Disney the vindication in their mind that they have done something, or that they can push this shit. And it is somehow going to be okay to do it. Because here's the thing, that bald villain who's a female, yeah, it's one of those non-binaries. Yeah, Professor X is a twin sister that he supposedly usually eats in the womb or kills in the womb, and absorbs her in the womb. Yeah, in one universe, she actually was born, thrived, and killed him. Hey, we got a person. Rick.
Yes. Hey, I'm sorry. I thought it was an hour later. So sorry
Yeah,
to
I'm
jump in so
sorry.
late.
I decided to go a little early because another one also wanted to try an hour early. So,
Oh,
well,
okay.
hey, you're here.
Well,
That's what,
yeah.
man.
Not too late. Not too late. Not too late.
Not too
I
late at
heard.
all.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about what's been going on. This is what, Marvel?
Yeah, Marvel's cutting back to increase, or they're gonna focus on quality.
Bless their heart.
Yeah, right. So,
Oh,
yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
well, I think maybe they're trying to course correct. I've said this before. They've tried to. They have so much. Hey, they've glutted the market because they just had so much product, and we've talked about this, in the bar room, where you had all of these programs that you had to watch to try to understand the next movie, and it just became too much. I'm not going to watch something and then try to figure out what's going on based on a TV show that I've never heard of. So, and even now you still have that. You have that with what is it?
The
The
MCU.
upcoming movies. Yes,
Yeah.
with like when you had the last Doctor Strange movie and you had to
Yeah.
understand what happened in WandaVision. I kind
Yeah.
of knew because I would hear people talk around about it, but I
Yeah.
hadn't seen WandaVision. I've never seen WandaVision. Now maybe they understand you can't have so much product. So they're going to go, I guess, back to the basics. I don't see how, since nobody
They're
really
still doing
cares.
the shows. They're still doing the series. So I don't think they're going that route. They're still doing the series to make you basically have to get Disney Plus in order to understand. It's like you're trying to force commerce onto people to understand your product. It doesn't work.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they're going to tie Echo, the turning point
Oh
in
God.
television. That's the only MCU program I saw, and that's only because
My
Jacob
prayers for you,
insisted.
friend. Yes.
Thank you. And that's
I
the
will
only.
send
I
a
did got
priest over
this.
to exercise your home and your brain.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And what's sad is that I didn't even. I resisted Disney Plus for the longest time until we got Echo, and even then, I still don't really care. So now that we've got, I presume we have more movies apart from the Wolverine, Deadpool.
Deadpool, Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got more movies coming up. Really, what's going to be the interest? Well, for a lot of people like myself, and I would call myself quote a normie. Once what was it? The once Endgame ended, and once we wrapped up that story for Thanos, that was pretty much it. A lot of people checked out. But
Yeah.
Disney thought, oh, we're going to put in more programs and people are going to watch, and we're going to put more movies and people are going to watch. People didn't come, and the quality's been going down. How are they? That's a question, Orange. How are they going to raise the quality?
The only way that they can raise the quality is getting or is dialing back on the wokeness is to get rid of it. It's like we don't care what a superhero has between their legs. We don't care who they're putting or who they're banging beneath their sheets. We want or when you're doing an action film like that's for kids, good guys, bad guys, easily defined bad guys that are not somebody to look up to. Marvel and Disney, I'm looking at you with Cruella, um, and all those other characters that you should not be looking up to because what they do is completely evil. I mean, even what Deadpool does is not okay. He kills people. Um,
Oh well,
but
I would go even earlier than that. Remember Maleficent?
oh yes, Maleficent. Yes, they made her relatable. Now, truth is, I actually do kind of like those films because Angelina Jolie is actually pretty good in her acting. Um,
Though I will say that when my mom saw the second one, and by the way, Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, living and
yep,
passed on. Um, it was called Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. My mom looked at me and said,
yeah,
"I thought she became good in the end. Why is she a Mistress
yeah,
of
right.
Evil?" It's
I guess
okay.
she's going back to her evil ways. It's like, control your animal. It's like, your inner animal or that animal?
Well, I mean, it's easier. I think it's easier to take an established property and try to put quote a new twist on it, which is what they did with Cruella and what they
Yes.
did with Maleficent. Though I have to give credit where credit is due, Orange. Cruella's costumes definitely deserve the Oscar for costume design. I will give them that. They were very well
Yes.
made. They were very well made.
There, there's always a positive out or aspect to really terrible movies. Barbie had good set development or good set dressing. I will give them
Yes,
that.
yes, yes,
Um,
definitely.
but otherwise the movie's trash. I'm sorry, that movie is trash. Um, And yes, there are always going to be those really bad movies out there, and you will be able to find some good quality. Even The Last Jedi, which I have hated ever since I seen it, and sometimes will rewatch it only to give myself a small inoculation so I could suffer through other people talking about it. Um,
Well,
But
let me. Well, go
even
ahead,
that
Arch.
had good cinematography. I will give them that.
You can always find some. I mean, every time I write a review, even a negative review, I try to find one positive because
Yeah.
I mean there are individual elements. I'll say that for them to try to improve the MCU, it's more than just quote the wokeness. I think you have to get people who don't have contempt for the audience and don't have contempt for the product. You have to find people. I mean, I don't want super fans to be writing this because sometimes you can love something so much that you turn it into your own fan fiction. Look at Doctor Who. That's its own fan fiction. You have to treat the material seriously. And if you ever got to see the Superman documentary about the making of the Superman movies, one of the things that I think the Salkinds, I think the younger one, commented is you can't, or was it Tom Mankiewicz, who was a consultant on the movie? He said you have to take the product seriously. Yes, I mean you've got a man who's
Yeah.
flying, and you've got this sort of fantastical element, but you can't be quote smarter than the material. You can't try to be too clever with it. You have to take this serious. You can be serious. I mean, you can
You
take
have to
something
have a suspension
seriously.
of disbelief,
Yes,
but you
yes,
also got
but
to be
you
serious about it.
yes, you can't be too jokey with the material. And I think maybe that's been some of the problems that we've seen with some of the later Marvel movies. Certainly Ant-Man, Quantumania. There's no way I can believe that somebody looked at that big floating head and thought that this was good. You
No.
just I mean, that might be
My
close.
name is Darren, and I'm not a bitch, or whatever.
You look at it
Yeah.
and you think, my gosh, I was quite horrified by just how bad that was. So you need to have people who have respect for the material and respect for your audience if you're going to quote course correct and try to make the MCU better. But maybe really you should just retire it instead of doing 3 movies a year. Really, that's still way too much. That's still way too much
Hmm.
to throw in.
Well, that's
You have then
three
you
maximum.
well then you
They
have
saying
three
two. They want
maximum.
to do two. They did
Then you,
three, or I think they did a maximum of three in 1 year during the or Infinity Saga. I can't remember, or I think they only went two as far, or if I remember correctly,
oh, I can't. But I
for the
mean,
Infinity
I'm
Saga.
I'm trying to remember the year that was it Ant-Man, the Marvels, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh
Those
yeah.
are
Well,
three.
that was
Those are
last year. Yeah.
yeah, those were 3 movies. So how is this
Yep.
different? If you're saying they're going to cut back content, you still have 3 movies. That's way
Yep.
too much. That's way too much. Maybe one every 2 years or 3 years to build up interest
Maybe one every year. That's what
at
they
the
did with
most.
the That's what they did with the Infinity Saga, and it worked. Then they started doing two. It still worked because they didn't want to, or they wanted to do 20, or in 10 years they had to get like 22 films out. So it freaking worked. But man, how, or to ask or answer Nia's, oh, how would I handle MCU from Phase 4 recent if I was in charge? I'd stop it. I'd cancel it. I'm sorry, but I would actually, or if I was to do Phase 4, like continue from the Infinity Saga, I would
Mhm.
first sit down and it's like, okay, we're going to do the incursion arc. First off, I would raise a red flag. I'd be like, you do realize that that comic and that storyline wrote themselves into such a corner that they couldn't escape. They literally had to pull something out of their ass. Okay, Doom saves the Marvel Universe. A villain saves the Marvel Universe. Okay, we can work with that. No, actually, you can't. Because if you're having a bad guy save the universe, you kind of fuck yourselves over. But if you want to introduce the X-Men into the MCU, finally get mutants into the world, use the incursion arc where you have Earths about to collide, take people from that Earth onto this Earth, mix them around, have a huge catastrophe where not everybody's going to live, and well, okay, you finally got some mutants on Earth and shit. And because of the mutant gene being on this Earth now, well, there's going to be some sort of cosmic kind of equivalence in which will allow the mutant gene to propagate. So, yeah, I mean, that's an idea. It's not a particularly good idea. It's a skeleton of an idea.
Here's my thing for how I would handle Phase 4. I wouldn't quite
Yeah.
cancel it. I would cancel the TV shows, or at the very most, just instead of
Yeah.
having a whole series, maybe have a special. There's like
Yep.
one special where you get to introduce a character that might play a role in a future movie, but where you can kind of introduce parts of it to the movie itself. Because honestly, for someone like me who does not follow Marvel, who is not well versed in all the lore, I would get lost. I would get
Yep.
lost in a lot of the movies that I would see post Endgame. I'd be like, I don't know who these people are. I remember one. This is my one curious pre Infinity. I guess during the Infinity Stone saga, where you had a post credit scene, and then you got to see just the shadow of Thanos
Yep.
inside. All the people around me gasped like, "Oh!" And I'm like, "Huh? Who's this person? What? What's going on?"
Yeah, I didn't know
I
at first either after I saw Avengers. It's like, who's this
Yeah,
guy and why is he smiling at the concept of death?
exactly. So I was a little confused, and when we left the theater and I was waiting for whoever I was with to leave the restroom, I was overhearing the other people, and they were the ones explaining it, not to me. They were explaining it to each other, and that's how I found out. So
Yeah.
again, I wouldn't know this. You need to introduce these elements into your films, not into your television shows, because
Yep.
who's going to be watching those? I can promise you that some of the people who watched maybe Loki or WandaVision, maybe they
I
didn't go
watched
see the
Loki.
Marvel.
I watched Loki, but that was about it. Because actually, Loki actually got the cardinal rule of Marvel correct. Then they did. Then they did What If, and I took a look at it just to actually look at it, and it's like, oh crap, you guys broke the cardinal rule of Marvel. And I remember some of the bigger channels because I was discussing this before he got on. Some of the bigger channels were like, they turned the Infinity Stones into paperweights in the Loki show. It's like, that's what happens when you leave their home universe. Literally, that's what happens because they exist in all the different universes in the multiverse. Each universe has their own Infinity Stones. Some of them even have 7 or 8 Infinity Stones. And yet, that's why if you leave the home universe with those stones, they go dormant or inert. So when you have that What If where Ultron is going after the Watcher, I'm like, why didn't Ultron just go into a catatonic coma after he just left his universe? Because, well, it wouldn't work. And it's like, yeah, your whole show doesn't work, dude.
Well, what do I always say, Orange? And I know that Jacob and Rob make fun of me for this. What do I always say? Something will happen if the plot requires it to.
Yeah.
It does not have to make sense. It does not have to make sense in our world or even in that specific universe. It will happen because it needs to happen so that whatever plot they come up with moves along. So that's
Yeah.
probably what that's what's happened in a lot of these television series and shows. That's one thing I would do. I would not even have television series. But there's something else that I don't know if you've mentioned
Same.
with Phase 4. How are you going to work Phase 4 when you have to dump was it Jonathan Majors? You can't have him. They were building him up to be the next villain, and you had that on the TV shows, and you had him in, I guess, a movie. Now what are you going to do?
You've recast him. I mean, look at what they've done to Star Wars over the many years. The original trilogy, mind you, they have put in deleted scenes. They have switched over voices. They have done all that stuff. They have face switching technology. Reface is a thing. It's actually does pretty good in some things. And here's the wonderful thing. When it comes to like the Council of Kangs and whatnot, recast the man. You can actually recast him. Honestly, oh my god, I'm gonna go to hell for saying this. There are people that kind of do look like Jonathan Majors in Hollywood. So,
Well, I would have I can top that. I can top that bit of blasphemy with this. They should have recast Chadwick Boseman.
I love seeing that.
they should have. You are absolutely correct. And hello. How are you?
Oh, sorry I was late. I've just been getting banged all day by my wife. Whew.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
rough,
have
man.
that excuse, but I
So-
was still late.
So we're talking right now. The current topic is Disney content, 2 series, 3 movies a year. How would you fix the MCU if you could?
Fuck. Damn. That's like a loaded gun. It's like, good lord. Okay.
Just
I think
don't
the
hand it to
reason
Alec Baldwin.
just okay. I'll kind of just cover it from an audience point of view because usually when I talk, it's from like an elitist point of view, and I like being that guy. So from an audience point of view, to fix it, if you have to give people kind of like the remembrance of what it was like when it was considered really good. When it was considered really good, we got really little of it. I know people have mentioned this, but this point ends up colliding with this point. But I think this one nudges it over a little bit. Two things can be possibly true, but this is what people act and usually function off of. When holidays come around, holidays are special because you don't get them too much. They're like once a year. They mean something. When the MCU was new and you got a movie or 2 movies a year, it meant something because we're not only building to something, you only got it in a small dosage. The problem, and that's what this goes into, there's too much of it. It's taking away what's making it special. Yeah. And I know people have said, well, if it's good, it won't matter. That's a mute thing. Because they're misunderstanding the whole concept of why you loved it in the first place was because you got it in a small dose. It doesn't matter if more came out and it was good. That takes away the specialness of it. It doesn't matter, right? And plus, even when the MCU had 1 or 2 movies coming out a year, some of those are pretty bad. Like, I mean, Iron Man 3 is pretty bad. I thought The Dark World was pretty bad. So, but it still was special because you only got it like once a year, right? I think if they move back to what they're doing right now, which is they're cutting back, and I think that's a really good thing. I mean, it got so bad to the point where I remember when WandaVision came out, like we had just like digested that, and we got like a week break, and then we had Falcon and Winter Soldier. That is like too much. That is just way too much. You have to give.
Damn, that show was terrible.
Basically, like less is more kind of approach. 2 movies a year. 2 series is what I would do. 2 and 2. I would honestly just do 1 series. I mean, we know that they don't know how to do TV. I mean, these people are trying to do TV without a showrunner. I mean, like, come on. I think if you're asking me, 3 movies, 1 show. That'd be my opinion because I don't think these guys would know how to do TV that well. Honestly, I think they should cut their losses on that. Go back to doing that. But yeah, it's what people don't understand is like, the whole argument of like, if it's good is a super subjective thing anyway. How about just not do that? How about not flip a coin like Two-Face does? And how about not do that? How about go back to making it special? Yeah. And you could just literally make a good movie while making it a special event. These movies were considered like events for like some of the worst ones that they've ever had. Yeah, the franchise has did a lot for people. Yeah. It's made a lot of money. It is the highest grossing franchise ever. It's not getting close anytime soon, but this is at the point now everyone kept saying it would be at. Well, now you have to fix it. Now, make people love it the way they loved it before, making it small dosages. It needs to just be in small dosages. If you put out 4 movies, they had one point we're putting out four movies in 1 year. Or in 2021, we had like 4 movies in a year and like 4 TV shows. I mean, in 2022, you had like 3 or 4 movies too. That's just too much. That's just too much. I'm sorry, especially when they're not even good either. The not good is coupled with too many. So I think for me so that's the movie thing. The show thing, they should just have 1 show. The shows have been all bad except for like literally you talk to anybody, people will have like one of the shows they've liked out of like how many 8, 9 shows they have. That's pretty bad. Just 1 show. Just do
they
1.
haven't done a show that I liked yet.
See? Yeah.
They haven't done a show that I've liked yet.
Like I said, I wouldn't even do 1 show. I would just do a special. Maybe 2 specials.
The Werewolf by Night special. A lot of people like that. Yeah. Listen, why does it be a show? They could just do an hour-long special. Mm-hmm. Silver Surfer could just be an hour-long special. That would be a show.
I haven't watched that. So.
Yeah. Oh, no. It would save so much money. You could just literally film all that in like a month.
I mean, here's the thing. They could have done She-Hulk as a movie.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say. Well, I don't know. Do we need to see the twerking?
I mean, She-Hulk literally. No, they would have made it a lot different if it was a movie, to be completely honest. But if they would have just thought about it, if they would have said, fuck what the fans think and do your own thing, that was their main problem back when they were doing the Infinity Saga, they had a goal. They sat down with directors and actors and whatnot, and the storytellers. They had the goal, how they were going to fit each movie together, what they were doing with each movie to have it culminate with Thanos. And in this one, the Multiverse Saga, there is no big bad because, well, fuck, Kang just got himself arrested for beating his wife or for beating a
Typical
woman
black man.
and for being a basic bitch.
Well,
Yeah.
well, for me,
Oh,
well, yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, they have
it's-
they have a King Dynasty. They're a bunch of black guys acting like apes. They kind of asked for themselves. They told them not to cast black people.
yeah. That.
But wait a minute. You needed to have a black villain so that little black boys and girls could look up and say, you know, we could be villains as well. I don't know if that's the reason, but
Oh my god.
Let's see.
Canceled Rick Eric.
The other thing they could do, because like we were talking course correcting, well, money and factors into like interest. So for me, how about what's explaining to people? It's like what people are saying they're gonna do versus what they actually do are two totally different things. I could say that I'm gonna go get Scarlett Johansson, and then obviously, like that's obvious, you know, that's just me talking out my ass. That's just trash talk, right? But what is someone actually going to do? Like, if someone says this X movie would have sold, would that have been a character people would pay money for? I know people have an issue with popular characters getting movies, but popular characters put butts in seats, and people are trying to make these. Arguably, it's from the business point of view. You're putting a movie out to make money, profit, not this whole breaking even shit people are arguing that makes money. No, breaking even means you lost. Profit. What is a superhero people will pay money for? Actual box office tickets people are going to pay money for. They've been putting out characters people do not really know about nor care about. I know people use the Guardians. That is a one-time thing that's not going to happen for every character. They need guaranteed hits. You need guaranteed hits where people are going to support the characters that they like. Arguably, you can't use Iron Man because they killed him. Well, that sucks because that guy was drawing in some big numbers. Can't use they're going to use Captain America. Well, they're using Falcon. That's probably going to fail.
They're using Falcon.
Or Captain Falcon. Right? That's what they said in the show.
Yeah, Captain Falcon. Yeah.
So that's the problem is what characters can they bring out that people are going to go pay actual money for? Not like, because people say, oh, I would have loved to see a Moon Knight movie. Would Moon Knight have sold?
They have character, or he is a B-list. He is a B-list.
He's got some name value to him. Yeah,
you could, but you'd have to have a low budget and try to roll it out slowly to build up the interest.
Yeah,
you can't expect like a minor character to just open big. And Guardians was slightly different. I mean, granted, I don't think many people know them. I mean, outside of the comic book readers,
I think, yeah.
But you also had a good lead. Chris Pratt did have a name, so you could ride with him.
Yeah, he was building his legacy at that point.
So Fantastic Four and X-Men are characters that people know that people will pay money for. Now, Fantastic Four is a little bit different because Fantastic Four has arguably never had any good movies in general, but they're very popular. They can probably put some butts in seats. X-Men will put butts in seats. The thing is, people need to look at it from a business point of view. The reason why the movies are failing is because they're putting out movies for characters no one, like literally nobody knows. Like actually we're not even talking like C-list characters here. These are unknown characters to people that even read comic books for the most part. That's just not going to work. You need to put out. You can even do dual movies. I've understood why don't superhero movies experiment with like dual movies, like an idea. It's like Green Arrow, Batman, that would sell. Superman, Booster Gold, that would probably sell. Things like that.
Roles.
They need to. And that's the thing is like, what are characters people are going to pay money for? Like pay money for, not like, hey, yeah, this sounds like a good idea, dude. And they don't show up. Yeah, that's not what they need. You know.
Well, could you introduce a minor character in one of these larger films?
You can.
And then try to build up that way. Yeah, I think that would work.
Yeah. I think gone are the days of giving that minor character a movie, but there's no reason why they can't be featured with the other guys. They've already did this before. I don't really can't bring it back.
A lot of people don't realize, but yeah, you got Superman for DC. There are at least 5 characters who are honestly not well known in Marvel who can wipe the floor with Superman. Blue Marvel, who is a black superhero who actually had to go through the 1960s era during that time and lived through all that stuff and became a superhero on his own right, actually can wipe the floor with Superman.
Like with X-Men, So X-Men is things. There's plenty of great things you can do with those characters. You could literally do the duo thing, like they're doing with Deadpool, Wolverine. If you did like a Magneto Charles Xavier movie, that would sell. If you did a Rogue Gambit movie,
that
would sell. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that sold very well. It did very well for them. Yeah. You could try to evolve the strategy. Duos is good. Another thing they could potentially do is kind of. I'm not saying they're going to do this because they actually don't know how to do anything anymore besides lose money. Is the female characters? A lot of these, I would say no more female movies. People don't pay money for those. It's not something people the audience really want.
They will get money if they do it right.
Yeah.
Look at Alita. Alita didn't pay out well, but that's because Disney fucking suppressed the shit out of that. If Alita was allowed to stand on its own feet, Alita would have actually outdone Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's. I think people say Nova Corps, but Nova Corps. I mean, people know who that is, but they're decently obscure. You really got to think like, what does the audience want? And if the audience only wants popular characters, well, if that's what's going to make you the most money, then that makes the most sense to do. The problem here is they don't have that anymore. You have like one more chance at Thor, Captain America. That's not really a chance. That's like that. That's not really anything, I guess. And what is people really got to look at? What do they have that can make someone go to the theaters and pay money for? Deadpool, Wolverine. People are going to pay money for that. Hopefully, it's successful. Well, I don't even know
what they shouldn't have done. The one movie they shouldn't have done when it came to the Infinity Saga. Well, there's a few movies they shouldn't have done. Thor Ragnarok was their biggest mistake because they gave you the look of the strongest Hulk. And then they made him a basic parody of himself.
Oh, well, Thor was kind of a parody already.
And they also made Thor a parody, but they took Hulk, this was World War Hulk. This was the Gladiator Hulk, who literally cracked the planet or Earth in two with his rage in that arc. See, it took a century to come out and freaking knock his ass down.
Hulk is a character I think people would pay money for. The problem with that is, the whole Universal thing, so we can't even have him. And he's already been so screwed over by the MCU, already screwing him over.
The MCU finally got the rights, I believe. Or Disney finally got the rights back.
I remember the Eric Bana Hulk and then the Edward Norton Hulk. So it took a while to
Ed Norton Hulk was the best Hulk.
Yeah, I don't know whether those stories are true that he just didn't like the character or he thought that he wanted to improve.
Ed Norton had a big head. He thought he shit gold, man, and he didn't work well with others. That was why they got Ruffalo in there.
Yeah, I don't know what the reasons were, but people forget that wasn't that the movie that came after Iron Man?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They tied it in. They tied it in with that post-credit scene, but then people seem to forget that movie even exists.
Yeah, and that movie also.
And that's a shame too, because that was the best Hulk movie they had.
Yeah, and if you look back at the numbers for that movie, that I think that was like their lowest grossing film until recently. They started having accolades in the wrong way.
Miss Marvel finally took the championship belt.
Heck yeah, doing things the wrong way. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, folks, a lot of people don't. Or I'm gonna cover this, and then we're gonna move on to our next topic. But the Marvels, or as Rick would want to call them, the Marvelettes, and I actually agree with that, dude. I would have called them the Marvelettes.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I thought it was a biopic of the girl group.
Hey, true, dude. But anyway, that movie is actually more deviant than people think, because if you look at the ad or how Kamala Khan adores Miss Marvel, if you look how she says certain things, how she looks at her and whatnot, you're not looking at a doughy-eyed fan. You're looking at a woman or a young woman who is intimately attracted to another woman. And that's why when I went on the critic list, I gave the Marvels a 0. It's like this movie is borderlining some very sick shit. And I'm glad that they actually didn't have Miss Marvel engage in that shit. Also, the strap in deleted scene. I'm sorry. You're only supporting my my assessment there.
I guess I'm a little more naive. I did not really see that. I did see it more as like a fangirl going a little berserk. I thought that the whole romantic thing was going to be with Valkyrie and Miss Marvel. That's what they were trying to intimidate.
That's what they were intimating with it. But it's like this girl has a serious crush on Captain Marvel, and it's all in the body language and the psychology of it. The way that it is there. It's something that literally could be there if they decided to go there. Take it easy, Miyazaki.
Just real quick before you wrap up, the end part of wrap up this segment is what I mean.
Yeah.
That part where Kamala Khan comes up and asks that girl, do you know about what is the new Avengers initiative or whatever they were talking about? I did not know who that girl was. I did not know.
That was Katie Bishop, Hawkeye girl
from Hawkeye. Yes. Now, more than likely, I would have to have seen the show to have known who this person was. So I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about? Who is this person?
Echo was born from the Hawkeye show.
Yes, and what's weird is the first Thor, I literally turned to someone who was with me and it's like, was that Jeremy Renner? What's he doing here? I did not know. These are things that you do not know if you don't read comic books or know enough about the lore. They need to take the time to introduce these characters. It's just popping up. It's like, oh wow, that's awesome. But like for people who like me who don't read them, like, who are you? That's the experience I had. And they were building, I presume, to a Young Avengers. I don't know whether they'll actually get around to that or who's going to really be interested. Like, wow, I'm going to be fascinated to see Kamala Khan and Hawk Girl or whatever she is. I don't know who this person is.
She's taking up the mantle Hawkeye. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. So I don't know if you can't just rely on brand name alone.
Yeah. So going to our next topic, which is the first look at the Superman outfit from David Corenswet or Corenswet. How do you say this last name, folks?
I'd have to read it. I would just start calling him Cronenworth, but that's the San Diego Padres player.
Corenswet?
Corenswet.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
All right. So the cat from DBZ with sweat. Corenswet. Gotcha. So we're going to get over this. The first look at Corenswet in costume revealed. So this is what we got. And apparently he's lacing up his boots while there is a giant thing outside blowing up the planet. And this is very reminiscent to the what was it? Kingdom Come universe.
I don't know. It made me you know what it made me think of? It made me, not the costume, but the whole look. It made me think of Superman 3 when he's splitting and becoming that drunk, angry Superman.
I mean, I'm sorry, folks. That to me looks like the Superman Kingdom Come, where it's a more dead inside Superman, where he actually has the black instead of the gold in the back in the background of his insignia. But they're actually making the outside of the outside trim into the S. I'm sorry, that looks like shit, if you ask me. And this has rightfully gotten lambasted all over online. Not to mention, there's no chance in hell this could be the best movie ever. Literally, this could be the movie that makes $5 billion at the box office. I will not put a cent to it, because I have made my stance clear. I will not support anything that James Gunn or does. Because, folks, a lot of people were like, well, yeah, the jokes were inappropriate, but that's all he apologized for that. Did he apologize for hosting a disgustingly themed party at his house? Did he apologize for that? Because that's two indicators that this man has a very sick mind. And you want me to support that kind of person? I'm sorry, I'm not going to. I can't. I won't watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. After the stuff that they did with Guardians of the Galaxy, or after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and whatnot, and then I hear all this shit about James Gunn, it's like, nope, sorry, I will not support this man. But yeah, this is his Superman. And he's lacing up his boots while the world is ending outside. What are your thoughts, folks? Let's discuss.
Well, I would say first, the overall look seems to be more of a weariness. It's like, oh, I've got to go, to make the donuts. For those of you who remember, time
Well, it
to
looks
make
like
the
he's also
donuts.
dirty in this one. He's already been in a battle. And it also looks like he's got the red trousers, so they're going back to red trousers. So, yeah.
And I would say this. First, my understanding is that this is not from the actual production. This was just kind of taken as the actor, Mr. Corenswet,
Yeah.
was
lacing up.
actually getting ready to do a scene. And I don't know
Yeah.
why the background is the way it is.
Yeah.
My question, and it doesn't look very well tailored. It looks a little like, I don't know if that's the whole point, to look kind of unpolished and kind of rubbery. And boy, he's got veins popping out of his hands. I will just say, the person or people who released this obviously did not think about how it was going to be received, because it does look like he's almost disinterested in what's going on outside. Like the world seems to be under attack, and he's like, oh well, I got to get ready, but I'm going to take my time, try to see if these boots look nice. It looks almost like he's not enthusiastic, and that's not Superman. Superman's supposed to be out there and willing to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. This was a very poor decision. And I heard online someone compare this to when Henry Cavill's first shot came out. Now, as you know, Orange, I'm not the biggest Henry Cavill fan, but I will say that he at least looks the part. He looked the part. And he physically, the way the costuming was, it was perfect. This is not. But this is no reflection on David Corenswet as an actor. I don't know. He might actually be good. I don't know I don't know what work he's done.
I ain't knocking him either.
Yeah. But this is a poor decision to have released this kind of picture. And the fact is that it was released. Someone looked at it and said, oh, fans are going to get excited about this. I don't know what fans they're talking to, who just looked at the background, looked at the foreground, looked at kind of that weariness, looked at that kind of almost rubbery suit, and said, this will excite fans. I don't think so. I think this was a poor decision. They should have had a different shot. They should have made him pose in like a more heroic manner, not this almost world weary, I gotta go to work type pose. It was a poor decision. That those are my just brief thoughts.
Swag.
I think this is just a really bad angle and super reveal. Honestly, I think I said the same thing on my other show and the other one I was on Friday. The problem is like the suit doesn't inspire you, and the big thing with Superman is the suit is obviously a big part of his character to inspire people. Now I don't know if that's I don't know if that's one of those I don't know if it's one of those it's one of those suits that they put on like when they're doing a battle scene, because that suit was kind of dirty from that kind of angle. But I think this is probably one of the worst suit reveals for like a major superhero movie coming out. Just I don't know, not that kind of pose. Superman's always like this amazing pose of Superman standing up and everything. It's just a really really bad pose and a really bad angle. I mean, the best thing I said about it was the cape looks pretty cool, the boots look pretty cool. Yeah. The S is kind of a hybrid of like the Kingdom Come S and the regular S. That's a new thing, I guess. But yeah, that's just a horrible angle. That's probably not the first image I would have went for my official first look at Superman, because that just is terrible. I can't even see the suit for the most part. All I can see is just the front part of it. Like there's no actual angle of it. Plus, David Corenswet's not even like, I don't know, because he's actually pretty I would say handsome because he's playing Superman, but he's pretty buff actually on Instagram. So
Is he
I don't know if that
known,
suit's
though?
too small. Yeah, because he put out a picture, I think before or after this image came out, and he looks pretty jacked. So I don't know why
What
that
is
suit
he
is
known
not.
for?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in anything, honestly. This is the first thing I'll be seeing him in. I could check his stuff, his resume.
We've had a long succession of relatively unknown people or actors play Superman. Christopher Reeve was not that well known. Brandon Routh was not well known. Henry Cavill, maybe, but not too well known. Corenswet, we don't know who he is. So it's not out of the ordinary.
That is true.
But again, this is not. I agree with Swag. It's not the best angle, and it almost looks like they're in between takes. That's what makes it maybe not the best shot. They should have.
Oh shit! I got my ass kicked. Time to go get my spare boots.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe he will do better, and maybe he will make us proud. We can't. I know it's going to sound strange. We can't judge the whole project just on this one picture. But this was a poor decision to release this picture and say, "Oh, here is your first look at your new Superman. He looks tired. He looks almost disinterested. Yeah, there's a big battle going on, and he's not participating because he's literally suiting up."
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but it's like, even if it wasn't Zack Snyder, or not Zack Snyder, but
James Gunn.
Yeah, that one. Even if it wasn't him, you're right. This isn't inspiring confidence. This isn't inspiring interest. It's like, a little bit better pose, please. I mean, this also, who chose this background, fire them, because you're making the Superman look like he's lazy. You're making him look like he's completely unaware that the world is about to be destroyed any second. And it's like, we all know, well, Superman can literally distinguish heartbeats. Quite literally distinguish different heartbeats. So, yeah. You're telling me he wouldn't hear goddamn laser firing into our atmosphere? But yeah, it's just not inspiring any real interest here, folks. Plus, for me, personally, it's James Gunn. I want no part of it. And I think that...
I don't even care about Henry Cavill, honestly. Like, Henry Cavill, I never cared for his Superman performance at all. I thought it was insanely bad. I thought, thank you. He had some, I know he had some issues with Zack Snyder and his portrayal, but, I was just ready for someone new. I mean, I hope he'll do a good job. It's really all you can hope for. I mean, I think Tyler Hoechlin did a great job, but, apparently now you can't have two Superman.
I mean, the thing is, Zack Snyder's not against the idea of going animated with finishing out his universe. And it's like, I have said that so many times over the last few years. Why are they now starting to catch on? That's a good idea. I was called an asshole and an idiot and a fucking retard for all that shit. And then it's like, yeah, it's actually a good idea. Let's do animated. Fuck you all. Who called me that shit? Because now you all are, those people who were calling me all that stuff are like, oh, well, okay, so Zack Snyder's all for it. Let's do it. It's like,
there are people who didn't want an animated Superman.
Yeah, it's like, I think that he should go animated, because this was one of the things that it wasn't one of my live streams that I said this, but it's like, I think they should go animated. And they're like, in the chat, they're like, why would they do that? That's stupid. Let's just it's like,
that is so strange. That is so strange to me, because the animated series is so well done and it's so well drawn. So, and it's very successful. And I think there are a lot of people who like the animated series, the Batman and the Superman. Yeah. So I don't understand why they would object to having an animated feature. Maybe they're thinking that it's going to be like the Fleischman cartoons from the 30s, which are also quite good.
It's like, this is prime candidacy for, or Zack Snyder is prime, or he is a spectacle storyteller. We all know this. He may not be necessarily a good storyteller, but he is a spectacle storyteller. He tells his stories in a way that is very visual. So it's like, yes, you can, or when you have animated medium, you are able to tell it in a far grander way. You can show the speed of these characters. You can show them doing a lot more than just what a human body allows. I mean, yes, CGI and stuff and whatnot, sure, but in this way, he should go the animated route. Bring back the voice actors. I still won't pay attention to it because I'm not a fan of the person who, or she who shits in beds. But I think that he should finally, or it's like, I'm glad you finally caught up to an idea that I fucking had, that your own fans freaking lambasted me over, by the way. Good luck with that. But moving on to our final topic. Gina Carano is firing back at Disney.
My wife? What is she doing?
Uh,
My wife's my pillow. Dang it. Sad.
So hold on one second here. So yeah, Gina Carano, or for those of you who are not aware, Gina Carano is suing Disney thanks to Elon Musk, who made that thing last year. It's like, if you want to sue somebody based on your being fired because of something you said on here, we will pay for your legal fees. Well, she's like, I think I qualify. And then there you go. She actually finally filed suit. Well, Disney fired back at her. It's like, we had every right to fire you under the First Amendment of our Constitution. It's the freedom of speech. They literally admitted their tyranny there, folks, when they went that route. Well, now Gina has officially responded and rejects Disney's desire to dismiss her discrimination suit, counters Mouse House's carte blanche authority to fire her. So let me read into this. This is from Deadline, because apparently the other, or Bounding, hasn't caught wind of it yet. A month after Disney's Lucasfilm filed paperwork to have Gina Carano's wrongfully discharged sexual discrimination suit tossed out, the fired Mandalorian star kicked back to keep her Elon Musk support legal action off the mat. And after admitting that they discriminated against Carano for her personal political beliefs and subjected her to a disparate treatment from her similarly situated male co-stars, the Walt Disney Company, Lucasfilm, and Huckleberry Industries, collectively the defendants, assert that the First Amendment of the United States Constitution gives them absolute immunity, said the May 9th response to the defendant's motion to dismiss from Carano Schaefer's law, or yada, 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 in the federal court in L.A. Read it here. Defendants are incorrect. Tugging the Constitution out in the out of the Mouse House's hands. Somebody really needs to, yikes. House of Mouse's hands. I'm just going to say House of Mouse's fans because that's how it works for me. The reply adds, neither the First Amendment itself nor the few cases applying the First Amendment in the context of the casting give it employers the right to control or punish the personal speech of employees. None of Carano's comments referenced defendants, Star Wars, or The Mandalorian had anything to do with defendants. Carano claims do not seek to impose any message on the defendants to change the defendant's speech in any fashion. Defendants' motion to dismiss should be denied, Carano's team states, noting the First Amendment does not give defendants the carte blanche authority to terminate Carano for expressing her personal beliefs. You are damn right, it doesn't. The First Amendment actually gives her the right to express her personal beliefs. It does not give them authority to dismiss, that's actually the anti-First Amendment. Just a touch under the 3 years, Carano was pink slipped by Disney and didn't see her Mandalorian contract renewed. Her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural or religious identities. That did not happen. Folks, that did not happen. The actress who played the bounty hunter Cara Dune for 2 seasons of the series sued the once Bob Iger-run Entertainment Star Wars division in Huckleberry Industries. Hold on one second. the actress is looking for an injection to her Mandalorian to get her Mandalorian gig back. I don't think she wants her role back. She just wants the payment that she was owed for her doing the role. On that note, Carano and Disney do agree that the straw that seemingly broke the camel's back was when the actress shared a TikTok post in 2021 that looked to compare current divided political climate into America to Nazi Germany. In this ongoing dust up, actually, before I continue, she did not mention a political party in that post. She simply said that party in the late 1930s, not the 40s, the 30s, late 1930s, was that specific German party was turning neighbor against neighbor. She was saying that's what happened then. It's kind of happening now. That's all she really said. And yet everybody's like, she's saying that Republicans are being treated like Jewish people and the Democrats are not. She never said any of that. So, yeah, I'm going to put the kibosh in that right now. In his own ongoing dust up, who pulled their ads from the portions of X and over ill-considered retweets, Musk came out pretty quick to admit that he was paying Carano's legal bills as part of her action. Carano called out that she saw as a sexist double standard by her so-called progressive Disney to allow the likes of Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill to post on social media over and over comparing Trump to Hitler. As always in these things, there was some accompanying sparring on social media. Last month, the thing back. Well, before I continue, it's very obvious where Mark Hamill lies politically. And Pedro Pascal literally called all Trump supporters Nazis. He wasn't even given a slap on the wrist for that by Disney. Last month, things moved back to the courts last month. Who the hell edited this article?
That's poorly written.
What? On April 10th,
Joe Biden wrote this?
filed their motion to redundancy, yeah, and run on. In the document, the defendants claimed that Carano lost her Star Wars job because of her social media choices to publicly trivialize the Holocaust by comparing criticism of political conservatives to the annihilation of millions of Jewish people, notably not thousands, was the final straw for Disney. She never did that. And it will show if the trial or if the lawsuit goes through, she can easily pull up the evidence. Did I say that anything about Republicans here? No? Okay. Their entire stance for firing me was based on falsity. They were looking for a chance to fire me, any chance they could.
Well, we could get back to a certain point. I'm confused of in that statement right there. What do they mean by the annihilation of millions of Jewish people, noticeably not thousands? Did she say thousands?
She said, or it said thousands in 1939, because at that point it was only thousands that they were starting to kill and go after. It didn't just go from 1 to 1 million in the 1930s, folks.
No, 1939 was when the actual war began, and I believe the Germans did have concentration camps, but they were, like I said, concentration camps. They weren't extermination.
Or the Nazis were just starting to take or to make their moves right before the war even started. By the way, they were already starting to round up Jewish citizens.
Oh, not just Jews. I mean, there were all types.
And others, yes. And hello, Rat Kitty. How you doing? House of Mouse, more like the House of Rats. Yeah, or Rat House, yeah. But continuing on. Let's see here. Following for the basis of the Disney has a constitutional right to associate its artistic expression with Carano's speech, such as the First Amendment provides a complete defense to Carano's claims. No, it does not. You have a right to disagree with her and say, you are wrong with your assessment and you're making a false comparison. You could say that, but you can't fire her for what she said. That is literal discrimination. A stance Carano disagrees with, no surprise. As to the specific of Carano's complaints and contrary to the defendant's assertions, Carano did not disparage anyone. She certainly did not publicly trivialize the Holocaust. No, she didn't. Let alone grotesquely do so. The response filed. Judge Garrett will hear arguments of both sides next month. No longer packing on the Disney dollars. Carano has had a good run the past couple of years with the Daily Wire's production company, linking with the conservative media outlet. She has appeared in Terror on the Prairie and as a Secret Service agent in the Breitbart's news distribution, My Son Hunter. I still haven't seen either of those. The fourth season of The Mandalorian seems to be paused for the time being, as Jon Favreau directed The Mandalorian, and Grogu will be set for a May 2026 release. So, yeah. So she's firing back at Disney saying, your defense is for shit. Your defense is for shit because the First Amendment doesn't protect you from firing a person for no reason. Which is basically
the case that Disney is making, as I understand it, is curious. They're saying that the First Amendment gives them the right to fire someone. I don't think that really works, especially if they are saying that they're not going to disassociate themselves with, let's say, a Mark Hamill or a Pedro Pascal, who are saying things that are of a different political persuasion. They are deliberately aligning themselves. She could make the argument, and I think she is, that she was fired solely because of what they perceive to be her political views. And I don't know if you can fire someone based on what your perceived political views are. Yeah. So I don't know if their argument is, oh, well, we fired her because it's our First Amendment right. Would that also extend to, say, someone whom they say, well, let's just say they hired
on discrimination. Technically,
it does. It's skating very close to it, if not on it. Let's just say, for example, they said, oh, well, we're going to fire Gal Gadot because she came out with a pro-Israel tweet or retweeted something about October 7th. That would be discrimination. They say, oh, well, fired me because I'm Jewish. Same with, let's say they hired David Lynch and he posted something about transcendental meditation. We don't want to be associated with transcendental meditation. That's, again, you're discriminating. It's a very dicey subject. I mean, dicey case that they're trying to make, that somehow the First Amendment gives them the right to fire someone. How is this going to work with even people who are not as famous as Carano, who have been perhaps terminated because it's not even that she posted it; she retweeted it. I would say, for me, I mean, retweets are not endorsements. Retweets is, I maybe retweet something because I think it's an interesting topic or something that maybe I want to share with others, or maybe even something that I disagree with, but I want other people to know, hey, there's this out there.
Unless they have, like, the only way that she could potentially lose is if they have, like, prior social media rules. Like, usually companies now have social media rules where they say you can't post pictures of your outfit on social media. Just each company's different. I imagine for a massive one like them, they have their own in several different departments. It's a really weird one to go with, honestly, because, like I said before, if there's someone that they agree with, then they wouldn't fire them for that, right? But for someone that they don't agree with, they would just get rid of them for. But then that's not free speech. That's not that's not exercising the right of free speech then, because that's dictatorship to some degree.
That their mistake, I think, was in saying that we let her go, or we fired her because we don't want to be associated with whatever political views she may believe. They're perfectly free to fire anyone, and really I don't think they have to give a reason. If I don't know how exactly the law works here, but if they said, well, we fired her because we just don't want to keep working with her, not give a reason, The fact they specified a reason, it was, oh, because she retweeted something, or because of what her views are that she shares, and she's perfectly free to believe anything she wants. Then you're going to have to make the argument. All right, you fired her because she says something that, compared Republicans to Jews, or during the Holocaust or something like that. Okay, what then can you say to someone whom you keep or you don't fire, if they say that, oh, if you vote, if you vote for Trump, you support insurrection.
Yeah.
Then you're taking their side, or at least you are somehow implying that you endorse it. That's the problem that Disney has. If you the reason they gave to fire this person, and believe me, I'm not big on this. I mean, I don't watch The Mandalorian, and I'm probably not going to watch the Mandalorian Grogu thing. Although yes, Baby Yoda is very cute. So why they should never have said that was the reason, because she retweeted something or she posted something. An actor and actress's socio-political views, it's it's their own. They're Anyone's free to express their political views. I don't have to agree with it. I don't agree with a lot of people on social media, or actors or directors, what have you, but I admire their craftsmanship. It's a very bad thing that they did in saying, oh, we fired her because of this. That's going to be the problem. And if they can prove, if Gina Carano can prove that she was fired for her political speech, um, it might have an effect on other people. That's the most fascinating thing for me, Orange. How is it going to affect other people who maybe tweeted something or posted something on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram that was of a certain political viewpoint, and your boss didn't like it, so he or she fired you, not because of your job, not because they need to make cutbacks, but because they saw something online that they didn't like, and then they said, well, we're getting rid of you. That's going to be the fascinating thing for me. This case may affect others that
Yeah.
are from like smaller
Oh,
people.
there are precedents. I mean, there's also precedent, or Disney's being sued in all different fronts. I mean, or there's a couple of actors from soap operas that are fit, or that are suing Disney for violation of civil rights due to the vax mandates, um, because they were discriminated against due to the religious exemption, and Disney denied them that. But yes, there is. This is going to basically set the precedent that you can, or that Disney, and once, or if Gina Carano does get a victory out of this, I'm willing to bet that Disney is about, or is going to get swamped with, most likely get swamped with lawsuits.
And it's not going to be like the big names. I mean, Gina
No, they're
Carano
not.
is
They're
a
going to
big
be
name.
very small names, here or there, people, and Disney will most likely try to settle with them. And it's like, no, I'm going to go for the highest fucking penalty as possible. You guys did us dirty, and now that we know that somebody can actually stand against you and win, we are going to stand against you and win. Because I've said it so many times, folks. Disney is like the real life Wayland Yutani from Alien the universe. They are, or they think they're too big to fail, and yet they are going to learn a very hard way, because the Wayland Yutani Corporation, I think, got bought out by Walmart in Alien Resurrection in the deleted scenes.
Oh God.
So
Uh,
yeah,
yes. Look, honestly, this is what I think is that, if she tweeted this out, probably most people wouldn't have even cared. They would have, because they're not focused on her. They're not going to watch The Mandalorian because, oh well, this actress agrees with what I believe. And they were probably just going to say, oh well, she just said something that we think is dumb, let's just move on. They made it a case. They
yeah,
made it a case. And so often it's people's pride and it's people's ego that builds up something into far worse than what it is. I
yeah.
mean, it really just could have just, if I had been Disney, if I had been the Disney Corporation, and this person had tweeted it out, people were complaining. It's like, oh, how dare you have this like MAGA person or what have you? Like, I don't know if she is. I don't care. But if she is, I would have said, hey, those are her views. We don't agree with them, but yeah, we didn't hire her for her political views. She's not a commentator. She's an actress. She's given this role. She's been good in this role. She's been well received in this role. Yeah, I mean, and it would have blown over. That's the thing. It would have blown over.
It's
They made
funny.
it bigger.
It's funny you should say that because I do remember that when you buy DVDs and Blu-rays, there is a disclaimer in the beginning of each of these Blu-rays that says in these commentaries you will hear views that don't necessarily reflect what we believe.
Exactly.
And if only Disney would employ that on social media, we do not always agree with the views of our employers, except that that's the problem. They can't do that because they are firing people for having different views. We all know the scandal, folks, that Disney's hiring policies and their employment policies, their contracts and whatnot, actually are stipulating that if a person of color gets out or manages to extricate a white conservative from their job inside Disney or report them and whatnot, they will get a boost and they will most likely get a promotion and a raise in pay. That is something that actually happened that Bounding has reported on and whatnot, and others have exposed as well. Data Racer, I do also believe, exposed it as well. So, yeah, Disney, I am rooting for Gina Carano in this lawsuit because you do need to be brought down a peg or two. You're losing billions of dollars. You need to be handed a few Disney or a few losses in court as well, and maybe maybe Walmart can buy you out because honestly, I'd love to see that happen. But honestly,
Maybe they'll pay her off in the what is it, Disney dollars?
yeah, because I looked at the thing and it says that she wants to basically get a rollback and whatnot, and it's like, and then I asked a couple of legal people, and they're like, she's not necessarily asking for her role to be hired back by Disney. She's asking for the back pay. That's the only way that she can go about getting the back pay. She's not actually going back to Disney. Now, if it does turn out that she does go back to Disney, which I doubt it is, considering her the way that she is suing them right now, and I am guessing that is actually the case. She's not trying to go back to Disney. She just wants what's owed to her. And therefore, that should be given to her because of how they mistreated her.
Well, I wonder if she gets her rollback. I'm sure they could find a way to reintroduce her character, unless she's been killed off. I don't know. I didn't watch The Mandalorian, and she might be welcome back. I don't think she was hated. It would have been different if her character was hated and if she herself were hated. But from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the character was well liked and she was well liked in the role. So they should never have fired her. They should have just ignored it. What is it? What do you call it? The Streisand effect, when something that would be pretty innocuous gets built up bigger because you draw attention to it, and it makes the situation worse. This is the same thing here, but again, it's the result of the actual case that interests me. What will be the verdict if it comes down for Carano? You will see, I think, more people sue their former employers. And I hadn't even thought about the vaccination, but that's also a possibility. If you can prove that you were fired not because of your job, or not because of your job performance, or because of excessive tardinesses or whatever, but you were deliberately targeted because your private views, which you expressed publicly, or your views that you expressed publicly, um, ran against what your employer thought, then yeah, there's going to be a real big issue there. So the result, I'm more interested in the result. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't take sides in this. I don't know who the Carano is. I mean, I wish her well, but I've never. I'm not a big fan, and I think I've only seen her in Haywire, and I wasn't a big fan of that film. But
how dare you?
I'm a blasphemer. I so I, that
I
that's
love the
just
film. I thought it was good.
I might watch it again. I've given some films a second chance. Oh, but that's my interest. What the actual result will be. Watch what the result will be, and then we'll see what happens if more companies, even smaller companies. It doesn't have to be like a large corporation like Disney. It could be like, let's say you work for a printing company, and then you retweet it, not even post it yourself. You retweeted something like, "Oh, this is an interesting article about how Joe Biden is a moron," and they fired you for that.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, I got kicked off of Twitter for saying something about Joe Biden, but I finally got my original Twitter back. For it's like you just got to remove the offending tweet. It's like, fine, fuck it, I'll do it. I don't care.
I've so far I've never been suspended by anyone, but
You're
if it's
lucky.
any if it's any comfort, Orange, I'm sure Rob has probably done worse.
Probably. I mean, I said that Joe Biden should get smacked with a chair by Deadpool.
Oh my gosh.
And they they literally nuked my original profile for that. But it's finally back now, folks. Just go to Orange Hat Reviews without the A in orange. So it's Orange Hat Reviews. And you'll find it, or you'll find my original profile or my original account there.
Yeah,
But
don't call it
I'm
a
also
comeback.
working. Yeah, you're following it. I'm working on getting I'm working on getting people to follow me more over there. That one is still heavily shadow banned. Like literally, I couldn't even look, it took my phone to add me to groups or to group chats with that, or to add that account to group chats because you won't find it in a search queue.
Well, I'm trying to remember the quote attributed to Churchill about, like, if you don't have any enemies, and you stand for nothing, or something like that. But honestly, nobody's really I don't think anyone's going to throw me off of Twitter. I'm too boring.
Well, if you are running for Congress, which I don't think you are anymore.
Well, no, I was going to run for the city council.
City council. Okay.
Until first I found out, like, 6-hour meetings. I tend to fall asleep at like 2-hour meetings. 6-hour meetings, I'd probably just keel over. And then our beloved Pete did somehow bring up Hitler and all this
Oh dear
conversation.
Lord.
I love Pete, by the way. He's a good guy.
Pete
Follow
Pishke, yeah.
him. Yeah, follow him. Like Happy Warrior P. People follow him. He's great. He's a bright guy.
He is a
But
good guy. And he also brings on people with very different views than us. He actually had that interview with what's her name from G14 or whatever it was. Frosk. Yeah, that
Yes.
woman. I
I
thought
mean,
I was too boring to get banned by Twitter, but I lost count. Hey, Conroy, good to see you.
but yes. So no, look. You just let's find out what the who knows. Do you think they might settle? I don't know if they might settle just for the payment.
No, I don't think they might settle once it goes into court, once your motions fail and this and that, and court is finally going back and forth. They might offer settlement, but it's ultimately up to Carano whether or not she's willing to accept settlement. When it comes to these sort of cases, if they offer you the settlement, that means they are losing ground. Don't freaking give in there. Don't ever take a deal that is offered by the other side.
I would just say, look, for all the actors and writers, directors, what have you, you are free to say what you believe. That is what the First
You should be,
Amendment
yes.
is. I mean, your First Amendment is for you to be able to speak your mind and say what you believe. And your corporations, I would just offer this piece of advice: let it go. It's not an endorsement. It's on my Twitter handle. Retweets and likes are not endorsements. It does not mean that I agree with you. It just means that, oh, read this. Maybe there's something that you will agree. I will only agree with something if you see me say I approve this message.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than
I
that,
mean,
yeah, just retweet it. But again, be careful. Be careful to try to say that, oh, we fired you because of your political or your socio-political views.
yeah,
That's very dangerous in that you could make the argument that you are suppressing speech.
yep.
So be careful out there, corporations. Just let it go. Just ignore it. Believe me, it would have
Disney,
blown over. It would
yeah,
have blown over. Nobody would have cared.
all they really needed to do was tell people on Twitter, the official Disney account, we do not always agree with the opinions given by or by some of our employees.
Exactly.
They are allowed to say what they wish. However, we do not always agree with that. But the problem is Disney, they want a hive mind. They want everybody to believe what they believe that works for them. And they are rooting out those who do not believe what they believe, and they are trying to get rid of them. So if if Carano does have a victory here, those people who have been sued, they will have precedent.
Yeah, that's going to be the, like I keep saying, that's going to be the interesting case. But the best thing that we can do, the best thing that Disney could do, is defrost Uncle Walt and have him speak on this issue. Have him testify.
Yeah.
Take him out of the Disney vault where they keep all the extra copies of those movies, like Song of the South, and just have them and just have him speak there. We'll hold a séance. We can get a medium.
Pretty sure that man will have a few things to say. But anyway, folks, that is going to be all of our topics. Thank you to Rick and Master Swag for coming on in. I'm sorry that I didn't give Swag a moment to exit. He had to go rather hurriedly. Tuesday is my all my thoughts on the original trilogy lore for Star Wars at 1:30 p.m. Then Tuesday night is the bar room where Rick is also going to be there, and a few others. Wednesday night, me and Mara are on her channel, Jade Shadow, where we're going to be talking Blade 1 with Wesley Snipes. Thursday night is singles with me and Mara on my channel at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to be talking Murder at 1600. And then the next week is Blade 2, and my channel will have the next single, which is Demolition Man. It's Wesley Snipes' May.
Wow.
So with that, folks, Friday is also Orange Hat Uncensored. I didn't get to do Uncensored this time because I was late to the show and I didn't queue it up. So I do apologize for that. However, I will if it turns out I am able to make it on time, I will do another Orange Hat Uncensored. And Sunday, next Sunday for the 23rd weekly recap, me and Kate will be back. She's spending time with family with her mom for Mother's Day. So thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. Christian, Junebug, Conroy, Riot, Vanya, Neozoic, Pierce, Swag King, Tim, and Mama Skooma. Thank you to everybody. Rick, thank you for joining.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I will see you all next time. Until then, y'all have a wonderful day, and always remember to stay humble.